And true to comic book villainy,
Mm-hmm.
they get a floppy disk.
Mm-hmm.
A floppy disk like the size of like a slice of Texas toast.
Yeah, I think those were called 8.5 floppies.
I don't
So
know.
there were the 3.5 floppies, the ones
Mhm.
I think we're more familiar with.
Yeah.
But like slightly before that, there were 8.5. Seriously,
Listen.
8.5 floppies.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Site Attendant Podcast.
You gotta yell at the people. They deserve to be yelled at.
What people are we yelling at?
Oh, I don't know. Just anyone that's listening.
We're not yelling at you. Don't listen to Jordan.
Okay. No yelling. We're nice. We like you. Thanks for listening.
Do we have any exciting announcements?
We have 7, I think, was it 7 or 8,000 Instagram followers?
Yep, that's it.
Is that accurate?
Yeah. Yeah, almost
us.
8,000. So let's just say 8,000.
I'll be 29 and a half. I'll be 30 next year.
6 feet almost.
Oh my God. That was so good.
Paul Rudd.
We should probably start over.
No, I want to include the Paul Rudd video in our show notes.
That was really good. It felt like me, though. Like, it felt like he was me.
Yeah.
We were at the park the other day.
Certified young person.
Yeah, we were at the park the other day, and there were these kids saying, I yeeted it. I yeeted that thing. I was like, what are you?
Yeah, we were hanging outside of the skate park.
Yeah, and there were kids talking about yeeting stuff. I was like, I yeeted it. Okay.
I think that means that they ate it, like jeet yet, you know, like
Nope.
yeet.
That's just Wisconsinese.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I am proud to be a Wisconsinite, where at least I eat lots of cheese.
Or at least I know I'm freeze.
I was interacting with the Chilled and Thrilled podcast today.
Yeah.
And they released an episode on Ed Gein.
Oh, he's a Wisconsineer.
He is. And
Wasn't your grandma like friends with his mom or some shit?
my great grandmother interacted with him and said he was awfully kind.
Such a gentle soul.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the people that think that what's his fuck is sexy boy.
Oh, gross. Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy, yeah. Like, oh, he's so hot. Like, what?
Yeah.
Is that the primary concern? Is how hot a murderer is?
Then they chose Zac Efron to portray him.
Which,
like, come on now.
I mean, the hottest murderer is obviously BTK.
I'm a Richard Ramirez kind of gal.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen BTK?
No.
Oh my God. Okay.
The hottest one is obviously the Zodiac.
I mean, have you seen the whole bit about the guy that like everyone's pretty sure it is? There's a YouTube doc about him.
Are you talking about Ted Cruz?
Oh, I mean, no, the real.
Oh, the person that they actually like think he is. Oh, also a Wisconsinite who's a murderer, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh yeah.
And I also know someone who interacted with him.
Do you?
Yeah, there was a lady that I grew up knowing her. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, she was a prison guard. And Jeffrey Dahmer was like one of her prisoners.
Oh, I don't think that counts, by the way.
Why?
The I knew a killer type thing. It doesn't really count if you met them while you were guarding them in prison. Of course, she knows lots of killers.
Yeah, but she still met the guy.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
It does count. Anyway, she said he was a model prisoner.
Yeah.
He was real nice.
Well, he was a model dead prisoner later on anyway.
Yeah.
Got the old... I'm not going to say what happened because it's pretty...
Just Google it. Somebody, if you're interested in it, just Google it.
I'd say just don't Google it. It's unpleasant in every way.
Okay. So, other important announcements besides our 8,000 followers on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. That's not fake news, by the way.
Definitely not fake news. Don't go on our Instagram to check it and also follow us. We talked about getting a tandem bike and how we were definitely going to go out and get a tandem bike. Do you want to take over the story?
Yeah. Everyone on Facebook is a liar. Full lie. They tell lies. People tell lies. So I've only bought a couple of things on Facebook, but I've sold dozens of things on Facebook, okay? And here's what you do. You tell the truth about the item you're selling, and that's it. This dude, I text him throughout the day before we go and get this bike, or go and even look at this bike. I'm like, hey, cool, is the bike's available? He said, yeah, the bike's available. And then he said, it's also really good condition and works, and you can immediately ride it. That was not true. That was not true at all. We got on this bike. First things first, your seat way too high, so we lowered it a little bit. Next.
I am particularly short for those of you who don't know me.
Next thing's next. The fucking, your handlebars, weren't tight at all. Not even they're a little loose, but you could just turn them and nothing would happen to the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh yeah, we haven't ridden it in about a month. I've let bikes sit for years and that has never occurred.
And
Nothing.
Your handlebars.
Oh yeah, and then I got on my handlebars, just dropped out of my hand basically. So, but then it wasn't necessarily what we were looking for anyway, so we didn't end up purchasing it. So
We didn't. The search continues.
The search continues. So if you have or know of someone that has a good tandem bike for sale, let us know.
With multiple brake options or more than just the handle brake?
Well, so yeah, that's the situation, I guess, is that it only had a front brake. There was no rear brake at all, which is not ideal.
For two people's worth of weight and momentum and all that kind of stuff, that is just no.
Yeah, danger. That's are in the danger zone, and I wasn't that interested in dying on a bicycle. So
You didn't want to be in the danger zone?
No.
Oh.
Not at all.
Okay. Well, that's an update on that. Kind of a boo, but we do have a couple of really cool things in the works as it pertains to the podcast.
We've got stickers incoming.
Stickers.
They're going to be really pretty. They're going to be real shiny. They're going to stick to anything you want to stick them to. Stick them to your bike, actually.
Stick them to your tandem bike.
Stick them to the bike. Put them on the seat. Put them on the reflectors. There's no danger if you cover your reflectors and stickers. It's fine.
If you got a car instead, put them on your mirrors.
And on your mirrors and on the windshield.
Mm-hmm.
All over it.
Yeah, bumper stickers are overrated. I think windshield stickers are where it's at.
It's the new hotness.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, we have stickers coming. If you want to slap them on your laptops, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, hit us up if you're interested. I don't know, probably be $17 or $18 each per sticker, right?
Yeah. Actually, and then $15 shipping.
Yeah. So just let us know if you want one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll probably have an official announcement about them on the Facebook page, Instagram page, Twitter page, MySpace page, Friendster page, LinkedIn, all the socials. Stickers coming soon.
Did you have a Zanga growing up?
Yeah, I did. It's where you talked about how tough your life was, and talk shit about your parents, right?
I don't recall talking shit about my parents on the internet.
I think that's
just out loud.
I think that's Jesus. I got scolded by your mother again.
Oh yeah.
Listen, I just need to take this time to tell anyone listening to the podcast that Ashley's mother is a saint and an angel, and she's probably one of the most attractive mothers that I know. So
okay,
gold star for Ashley's mother. She's the greatest, and I heard that she saved 5 kittens from a storm drain to yesterday. I love her.
Mm-hmm. That's enough of that.
Okay.
Goodness. Anyway, if you
I just don't want to get yelled at again by a text message. I love you so much.
Well, this time it was a group text message.
Jesus, yeah, it's like when you CC your boss on an email.
Yeah.
While you're talking shit to someone else.
Yeah. Well, last time it was separate because she didn't have your number,
right,
so I gave her your number because I'm the best.
But woof.
One day we'll have to entertain our listeners with the story of you guys first meeting on FaceTime.
Oh yeah, we can. Yeah, we'll talk about that some. Oh boy. Yeah.
Good boy. So yeah, pay attention to the social medias for some exciting announcements upcoming. I'm starting to like vision board stuff. No offense to Jordan, but I'm starting to vision board stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically just like a scrapbook page of a bunch of shit that you want to manifest. So, I've been vision boarding a bunch of stuff for the podcast, so hopefully they come to fruition. Yeah. Do we want to jump into this film? Speaking of my mom,
Boy, we've been bullshitting for the last 35 minutes.
at least,
Do you think people are interested in hearing about a Nicolas Cage film?
perhaps.
Face Off.
Face Off. Are you happy, mother?
We did it. Which okay, the thing, one of my favorite things actually happens in this movie, and I think it's happened in a good number of the movies we've done so far, where they say the title of the movie in the movie.
Oh my God, they said it so many
They said
times.
it so many times. They said it like there was a scene where they said it probably 8 to 10 times.
Probably, yeah.
It's crazy.
And then Jordan made it worse by saying you could say they're going to have a face off.
Yeah, that probably. I mean, throughout the whole movie, a dozen or more times they say the name of this movie. It's pretty wild.
They don't say the is it a forward slash? I think it's a forward slash.
Yeah,
they don't say
I think
face
so.
/ off.
Right. Yeah.
Just face off, which
Mhm.
was disappointing. So yeah, Face Off. This is the film. I asked my mom probably back when this podcast started what her fave Nick Cage film was, and this is the one she chose, and she has been harassing us every time a new episode comes out when it's not Face Off. So you're welcome. It's not even a holiday. So I don't know if you guys can hear this, but one of the dogs is whining upstairs because he's terrible.
I don't know what he's so upset about.
Well, he is all alone.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because Tony took Judy.
Oh.
Oh. Maybe someone came to rescue him. Minna was like up there, but she doesn't give a crap about the boys, so he might as well be alone. I think Frisco, well, I know Frisco's down here, and I think Henry is around here somewhere too. But anyway, Face Off. So you're welcome, Mom. I had never seen this film before, and I had a totally different idea of what this movie was about. Like, I did not.
So, to jump ahead almost immediately, I've seen this movie before.
With your working eyeballs?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I have seen the visual parts of this movie, but it was honestly probably before the year 2000. But I don't necessarily have a super heavy memory of any of the visuals in it, but I do remember the plot line, which a significant piece of that plot line is that the faces of Nicolas Cage and John Travolta are literally removed and placed on the other person.
Face off.
Like physically, they swap faces.
Face trade.
But you didn't know that was what this movie was, right?
Right. Okay. So kind of.
You thought it was just like a showdown or like a what?
Yeah. So I thought it was going to be revealed at the end. Like, oh my God, Nicolas Cage has been John Travolta this whole time.
Oh, yeah. No.
That's not the case. That's not the case at all.
That's not the case at all.
It's even more ridiculous than that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give a rundown this time. It's my rundown time.
Mm-hmm.
This is Face Off, or Nick Cage inside of John Travolta instead of Nick Cage. So we watched it on Showtime, and as we have mentioned previously, a lot of the movie channels do not have AD.
No audio description.
Yeah.
Eat shit.
I think
my God.
upped my game on audio description this time. I did a lot of sight attending this movie.
Yeah, I think so, but also this was a really tough one.
Well, yeah, because I was just like, so this movie is like action packed from the very beginning. We open up on a scene of John Travolta is on a little carousel with his young son. And we're like, oh,
Max?
that's so nice. Michael. And then we see Nick Cage, who's a ways away, like pull out a sniper rifle, and we're like, oh shit, something bad might be afoot. And then something bad happens. Nick Cage snipers John Travolta right through the body and ends up killing his young son, Michael, leaving John Travolta bereft. And then we cut to 6 years later, where John Travolta is in the FBI and Nick Cage is wild. I'm going to start with the name. So John Travolta is Sean Archer.
Mm-hmm.
And Nicolas Cage is Castor Troy.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a brother named Pollux, like
Mm-hmm.
Castor and Pollux, like the
Mm-hmm.
Greek and Roman boys.
Yes.
Okay. So then we've got a whole cast of characters. But the important ones are John Travolta and Nick Cage, of course.
Right.
And so we cut to 6 years later. Right now, Nick Cage is dressed as a priest,
Mm-hmm.
and he is some kind of somewhere, perhaps the Los Angeles Convention Center. Who really knows? And John Travolta is part of the FBI, and he's tracking down Nick Cage, or what did we say his name was? Castor Troy.
Mm-hmm.
There's this really problematic part where there's a church choir singing, and this Nick Cage dressed as a priest goes up to this young woman singing and says something about how like Jesus Christ is boring or something, and then he grabs her on the tush. I don't know if she was of age, so I don't know if we're tiptoeing the line
Oh
of
Jesus! Back to
of the kid fucking.
like why?
We get way more into it later, so
Yeah.
let's we can continue on. So we get Nick Cage out of the priest costume, and he's walking towards a jet. He is dressed in one of the most outrageous suits I've ever seen in my life. It's like red. Like, it's not velvet, but it's got that velvety look to it. I don't know. I'm sure there's a name for the fabric that he wears,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of like iridescent, like the way that like when he shifts, it gets like a deeper red or a lighter red.
Is it like they were fucking terry cloth?
Terry cloth? No.
Velour? Is it velour? That's the one I'm thinking of. Terry cloth is towels.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not towels. Velour. Yeah, kind of.
God, I'm so good at fabric.
Kind of, yeah. So anyway, he's walking towards this runway, and we know that John Travolta and his team are on his ass, but he's just like, casually walking towards his brother. His brother has helped him. It looks like I think he armed a bomb while he was there. And he's trying to get out of Los Angeles, and he's dressed like I said, in all red, like head to toe, red sunglasses. His cufflinks are like scorpions. His money clip is like a dragon head. His guns, he's got like 2 guns that are in like his waistband
He's
in
basically
the back.
a cartoon villain.
Yeah, pretty much.
Jesus.
Yeah. So they all like get on the plane, and he says some great things. He's got some good lines. He says, let's go on board, let's go.
That's how I feel the second I get on any plane. Like,
I'm already bored.
He's not wrong.
Yeah. A lady comes over and sits on his lap, and he talks about her like sucking his tongue, and then she sucks his tongue.
Yeah, he says, "Would you be grateful if I let you suck my tongue?"
Yeah.
And I mean,
Goodness.
again, that's a line that I have never thought to use, but geez, it sure is a good one.
Yeah. So the plane is going to take off, but then John Travolta confronts the plane on the runway.
Hey, basically, so the way like that I was visualizing this scene, like I didn't get much description on it, but like the he does he just step in front of a plane?
No, he plays
Okay.
chicken. He's
Yeah.
like in a
In a car,
a
yeah.
Humvee or
Yeah.
something,
Okay.
and he plays chicken and loses because the woman, the sucking tongue woman, gives herself up and says FBI, and she's on the plane.
Already about to take off. Like, what are you gonna do? Like,
Yeah, like, oh,
obviously you're about to get punched in the
this
face.
is awkward.
Yeah.
And so he like points a gun at her.
Which, okay, 1 second. This fucking FBI lady was just sucking on Nick Cage's tongue.
Mm-hmm.
The same person. So like that's the like, what's the deal there? What's the jam on that? Like,
She's undercover.
so are undercover police just good to like make out with, do sex with criminals?
Have you ever watched any undercover film ever?
No.
Wow. Get with it, homie.
That's crazy to me. Like, that's just wild.
You gotta watch some undercover stuff.
Yeah, apparently.
So yeah, John Travolta confronts him, loses, but they're still like going after him on the runway. The plane hasn't taken off, and then Nick Cage just shoots the woman and throws her on the runway to like basically shake them off of his tail.
Mm-hmm.
But this chase ends in Nick Cage killing the pilot, like while they're still on the runway.
Yeah, so that one didn't make much sense to me. Like like we're watching, and obviously, like the one of the difficult things about this movie is how much action there is. There is a crazy amount of action, and it's pretty difficult to follow any of it, really. But this scene in particular, you were able to kind of like tip me off to what was going on. As soon as you said he killed the pilot, the question is, does he know, like, can Nick Cage
fly a plane?
Yeah. Like, I don't think he can, right? Like,
yeah, no. He ends up fucking up big time. And so, yeah, he crashes the plane at the end of a runway into, like, another hangar and just, like, ends up, like, doing a barrel roll, essentially, out of the plane, both guns blazing, just, like, shooting at the FBI.
Which, I mean, here starts the really good action, right?
Yeah. They end up confronting him. John Travolta ends up confronting him, and then like somehow he gets thrown in front of an engine that's on, and he gets like blown down like a tunnel and like just smushed up against a grate essentially at the end of the tunnel.
Okay, so this
and it's not made clear like if he is dead or something. Like he got his lights knocked out. What is that called?
He got his block knocked off.
That, yeah, I mean he was sleepy.
Oh, he got knocked out?
Yeah.
Is that what you were trying to say?
Like knock your lights out.
No, I don't think that's something people say.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so that's what happens to him. And John Travolta is like celebrating, like his team is celebrating, but they're also like sad because they lost a bunch of their brothers and sisters in arms due to this big chase and subsequent firefight. And so he's like, we got him finally, the guy that killed my son, blah, blah, blah. And he's been pretty much like, he has been like a comic book villain, essentially. And true to comic book villainy, they get a floppy disk. A floppy disk like the size of like a slice of Texas toast.
Yeah, I think those were called 8.5 floppies.
I don't
So
know.
there were the 3.5 floppies, the ones I think we're more familiar with.
Yeah.
And then there are the other ones. So there's what is 8.5 is the big huge one that we see, and we're more familiar with the 3.5. So the
yeah,
giant one. He gets a giant one.
He gets a big fat fatty.
Yeah.
And it looks like before, what's his face? Castor Troy, got put in a coma. He armed a bomb somewhere, but they don't know where.
Oh, no.
So they need to find out where, or people are going to get bombed. Of course, he goes through the whole, like, he tells his boss. This is John Travolta, by the way. John Travolta tells his boss, and the big boss man won't listen to him because it's a hunch. So he's got to go a little rogue.
As you do, you know.
Yeah. And then one of his buddies at the bureau is like, "Hey, guess what we can do?
We can take your face off. That's what we can do.
And we can take his face off.
And we can put your face on his face and his face on your face."
Yeah. They don't, like, I think face off is kind of a misnomer. Because, like, yeah, it's a face, but, like, they change your whole body.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're like, yep, we're going to take care of your love handles and blah, blah, blah.
We're going to make you less of a disgusting fat slob.
Yeah. Like,
Jesus.
They turn into these people.
This is pretty weird how well this synced up. Like, completely unintentionally, but we started watching that weird fucking Netflix show, too.
Oh, yeah.
About plastic surgery stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that show is crazy. Like, if you want something,
I remember what it was called. There are so many plastic surgery shows on Netflix.
Whatever this one was called, it is pretty wild.
It gets you in the heartstrings.
Yeah, like the first episode's like this lady whose like husband tried to shoot her and killed her kids. Or yeah, I mean, well, he tried, but succeeded at trying. He shot her a bunch of times and like
9 times.
Like, woof. But the show's about like this like crazy plastic surgery stuff that they're doing to these people, and then we watch the old Face Off where they do crazy plastic surgery to make John Travolta look like Nicolas Cage.
Yep. So it's not just Face Off. Oh man, they get each other's penises too.
Do they explicitly talk about that?
They don't, but like they get the whole rest of the body. Why wouldn't they get the donger?
I imagine that's not a main priority or concern.
Okay. But if you traded bodies with someone and you got a new donger, wouldn't you explore it?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that I would have like, yeah.
Listen, you know Nick Cage did while he was John Travolta. We'll get to that later.
Oh boy, yeah.
Anyway, so they explain the face-off procedure, and he, of course, doesn't want it because he had already promised his wife. No,
this is the last assignment I'm taking.
That's the last. I got him already. Everything's good. I'm going to get a desk job and everything's going to be cool. And we're going to take care of our very troubled daughter. Because the idea is he's going to go into the federal prison where the brother is. So they ended up catching the brother, the Pollux, right? That's his name?
Yep.
Pollux. So they're going to like basically infiltrate it, get the information out of him. But John Travolta says, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it the old fashioned way where we torture witnesses because that's okay.
Yeah.
But he ends up getting nowhere with the witnesses. He brings in Dietrich and, oh God, this other woman.
Petey.
No, she's got a lady's name.
Oh. I don't know. I don't remember what her name was, but basically what we get here is the old classic like movie trope of like, I don't want to do a thing. So here, watch this next scene where I struggle because I chose not to do the thing. And then in the following scene, I'll reluctantly do the thing.
Boom. Gonna do the face off. Tells the wife. The wife gets angry. And you said that you were done with this.
He doesn't tell the wife explicitly what he's going to be doing.
Right. He just says, I have to do a thing. And she's like, no, you said you were done. And they get into this big fight and he does it anyway. So yeah, this is a very uncomfortable scene. Like,
oh yeah, like extremely graphic surgery stuff, right?
Just the face part.
Okay.
Yeah. So they take a laser and they just pull, they draw the laser cutter boy around the face. and they just like
peel it
suck
off.
the face off, like it's like, and then they just plop the face onto the other one. Well, so in this case, it's only plopping the face onto John Travolta's body. So they take Nick Cage's face, plop it onto John Travolta's body. They take John Travolta's face and they put it into like a bucket of preserving goo or something.
Pickle juice.
Yes. And so of course, like, Nick Cage is just like in a coma and he's never gonna wake up from it. So John Travolta is now Castor Troy, and he's going into this like maximum security federal prison. They have these magnetic boots installed onto their feet. It's kind of like, so it reminded me of like the Marauders map from Harry Potter, kind of, because like the tracking system they use, they just have like these little like circles that like just like they can tell where everyone is.
To show where people are.
Yeah, but they didn't have like names on them or anything.
This is
They could really improve it.
Basically, it's like a crazy like futuristic prison.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
yeah, but not like totally like, I don't know, like watching this compared to watching like Altered Carbon or something that's like way, way, way like sci-fi in the future.
Yeah, it's like grungy future.
Yeah. So they like install these boots onto his feet. He runs into another villain where he like almost trips up and says like, "Oh, I arrested you," blah blah blah.
And then he's like, "Oh no, the guy Sean, what's his name? Sean Austin."
Archer.
Sean Archer arrested you once. A person that is not me. Like, wait, what the fuck?
I am definitely not that person.
All right,
let's eat batteries. I mean, human food.
Yeah.
He gets into a fight. Do you want to tell everybody why he gets into a fight?
So the fight. Nick Cage, who at this point, I'm just gonna refer to the actor, right? Because this shit is
too confusing.
I mean, it was a little tough to track, but whatever. Earlier on too, when they swap faces, there's some wild ass technology where he can change his voice changes to his voice too.
Oh yeah.
He puts like gets like a chip in his throat or some shit. So yeah, but at this point, Nick Cage is in the prison talking to some guys, and the fight that he gets in, we find out his brother tells him, right? His brother tells him, yeah, that guy doesn't like you because right after he got put into prison. The reason he needs to be told this is because he tells his brother that like the coma he was in gives him some memory loss.
Convenient excuse.
Right, yeah. So, but his brother tells him, yeah, that guy over there, right before he got put into prison, you were in a sex sandwich with his wife and sister. A sex sandwich? What?
A sex sandwich.
I don't think anyone's ever said a sex sandwich.
You get that from the Jimmy Johns.
Like, what the fuck? Like, sex sandwich. So, yeah, then Nick Cage, like, fights with this guy, and we see that the boots can, like, stop the fights, right?
Yeah, they can, like, disable them.
Like, they glue you to the floor.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because they got the magnets in them.
And then something wild happens. John Travolta.
Yeah. And then something wild happens is like every scene in this. And then something wild happens.
Like, then John Travolta wakes up.
No. Nick Cage wakes up.
You said that you were going to refer to them as the actors.
Right. But at this point, it's Nick Cage without a face at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he hasn't become John Travolta yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Woof. This is the time. So, okay. So Nick Cage without a face.
Bloody face
up.
Nick Cage wakes up.
He pulls all of his bandages off and, like, walks around and, like, obviously he's very concerned because he woke up without a face.
So you didn't explain this to me at the time and on the fly. And so what tips him off to what has occurred? Like to the fact that John Travolta got his face. Are there like notes around or like
So the
some?
first thing that happens when he wakes up and he like takes his bandages off, he puts his fingers to his face and like they come away and they're all bloody.
Yeah, he realizes, oh shucks, I don't
Right, I
have a
don't have a
face.
face.
Right.
So then he's like in the facility where it took place, and he walks up to this window and he sees John Travolta's face floating in that like bowl of goop.
Okay, I follow.
Yeah.
So then he points and says, "I'll take that one, please."
Well, yes, in a very polite fashion, he does that.
Now, doesn't he get like basically he holds everyone hostage?
He
And
calls
makes
his
them,
goons
Yeah.
to like haul the doctors in who did it, and like basically everyone who knew about it. And he like gets the procedure done. He is now John Travolta. So then Nick Cage gets a visit from John Travolta in the prison.
and realizes that he's kind of fucked.
Yeah. My note was, oh shit, he's going to fuck my wife and daughter.
I mean, he pretty much tells him that at the time, right? Like,
Well, yeah, but as soon as I saw him, that was my thought, and then he like explains it later. But then he goes on to explain like what had happened with the procedure and everything, and anyone who knew about the procedure and the doctor and all that stuff,
they're all dead.
they're all dead. He burned them alive in the facility.
So yeah, that's one thing too. Earlier on, when the first, like when this is first being proposed to the John Travolta character, they tell him like, this is a black bag operation. No one will know that it's taking place except for the people in this room, basically. To which he responds, "Oh, that's great news." Turns out it's not such great news.
Not great news.
Because now no one knows that he's really him. So then, I mean, do you want whose chunk do you want to follow first from like this? Does it go, because it immediately goes to like the John Travolta character going back to his normal life?
Yeah, so we're going to follow him for a little while here. Yeah. So he goes home. He definitely tries to bone the wife for sure.
Like immediately.
Yeah, but like, she's like on her way to work or whatever. She's a very important doctor wife.
Yeah.
And then he goes, his daughter is talking on the phone to Carl, and apparently Carl emailed her a very kinky photo that they're discussing on the phone. She's hanging out in her room in just a tank top and like undies, like those like the Fruit of the Loom tidy whitey, like very popular in the 90s. Every like famous actress was like pictured with them kind of underwear. He goes into her room and like gets real close to her. She's smoking a cigarette, gets real close to her and like grabs her like pack of cigarettes to like take one. But like it's very, very
like, it seems like she's going to be assaulted.
Yes, it seems like he's got something else on his mind. Thankfully, that is not what happened. He just took cigarette.
Took some cigarettes. And which advice to children, like if you're going to smoke some cigarettes while your parents aren't around, don't do it inside the house.
Yeah, don't do it inside the house.
Go out to the woods. Go have yourself a nice, if there's some woods by your house or an alley by your house.
Don't set the woods on fire.
Yeah, don't set the woods on fire. But go anywhere but inside your house. Jesus, kids don't know how to be bad kids.
I wasn't particularly good at it either, and this was 16 years ago. Yeah. So, he also releases his brother from prison because, like, he's John Travolta. He's like one of the big head honchos at the FBI. So he releases him because like he's going to turn state's evidence.
Yeah, he like orders the brother's release, basically.
And he knows where the bomb is. So he goes and he disarms the bomb and he saves the day.
He's a big hero boy.
Yeah, and he is definitely gloating about it. Like he is celebrating hard. And he goes home and he gets to bone the wife.
Yeah, which is this movie's a little bit different in that it's just like a physical, like surgical, like face swap type deal. But like you see like the Freaky Fridays, the 13 going on 30s, even Back to the Future, where a person is magically either someone they're not or somewhere they're not supposed to be or being perceived as something other than, it always leads to someone fucking someone they shouldn't be fucking. Right?
What happens in Freaky Friday?
I don't know. Isn't there some weird like I mean obviously they're kids, but it's like doesn't one of the kids like flirt with the other kids?
Yeah, there's definitely
Yeah.
there's flirting. And
Yeah.
13 going on 30 is a little bit more than flirting, but still like very strange.
Completely like not
Not appropriate for
yeah,
a 13-year-old.
Like, what the fuck? Like don't ugh.
Yeah. So yeah, he gets to go home. He gets to bone the wife. He had read in her diary that they hadn't made love in 2 months.
Right, which it honestly, like, if you were to like drop me into someone else's life as them, I don't think I would be able to adequately communicate as they do or did.
No.
Like, unless it's someone that I know super well, like you, I know you reasonably well, but I still don't think that I could hold your demeanor ever, anywhere.
No.
So
You'd
like,
still have like your mannerisms.
right,
And that's
yeah.
something that I noted earlier is I wonder like what it was like for John Travolta and Nick Cage to like study each other's mannerisms as who they are as real people and as who they are as these characters.
Like the characters, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That-
It's like my favorite thing in Harry Potter. Like it's Helena Bonham Carter, who's like acting like Bellatrix Lestrange, acting as Emma Watson, acting as Hermione Granger, acting as Bellatrix Lestrange.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite.
That's a lot. That's too much.
It is. Or like the Jumanji movies.
I'm not familiar with those at all.
They're so good. You should watch them.
Okay.
But it's like these actors that I don't know them. They might be well known to younger people, but they get transported into Jumanji, and the people who play the actual Jumanji characters are like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Kevin Hart, Jack Black,
Helen Hunt,
Karen Gillian, not Helen Hunt.
Robin Williams.
No.
Is it the right Jumanji?
But the second one is especially good. Because Danny DeVito plays like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson playing his character. It's very funny. Anyway, so that's one of my favorite things in movies. But anyway, yeah, he gets to bone the wife. That's the takeaway. And then so Nick Cage has been planning his escape since John Travolta came to visit him.
Right. Which, as we all know, one of the things that you can do on a whim in about a week's time worth of planning is escape from a prison.
A federal prison that we find is actually like underneath an oil rig.
Yeah, like it's
in the middle of the ocean.
Like Waterworld shit going on.
Yeah. So he ends up escaping. The guy who he had a sex sandwich with his wife and sister or whatever actually helps him escape.
Mm-hmm.
But he's supposed to be the good guy, so he talks to the prisoners all nice and shit. He jumps into the water. He gets to the top of this oil rig structure and just jumps into the water, ends up swimming to some kind of shore. Steals keys for a car, goes to one of his buddies' places, Dietrich. He goes to his place, asks him to help him kill Sean Archer, takes some drugs, and he goes wild. He's just I'm gonna peel his face off. This is the scene where they say face off so many times.
Yeah. This is Nick Cage on drugs scene, and it is pretty incredible.
He goes full on Nick Cage.
Yeah, it's real good.
Yeah. Sasha. Sasha's the sister's name. Dietrich and Sasha.
Yeah. So Dietrich is the Nick Cage's friend, and Sasha is that guy's sister. Yeah.
Yeah, and you find out that they had a relationship. Nick Cage and Sasha had a relationship, and they had a son out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But Nick Cage didn't know until Sasha tells him in this very touching scene after he has taken all these drugs.
Yeah.
So the brother was spying on Nick Cage because the brother obviously knew that Nick Cage wasn't Nick Cage.
Right. You'd know if your brother was not your brother.
Right. Well, yeah, there were some really awkward scenes in the prison. I'm totally your brother.
Right.
And so the FBI sets up outside of Dietrich's place because John Travolta says, hey, this prisoner escaped from prison and we're trying to get him. He's very dangerous. So they set outside and there's a huge shootout. Like,
okay, every action scene in this movie is a huge shootout.
yeah.
But
this one lasts a really, really long time.
Yeah, like, what the fuck?
Yeah. There's so much destruction. Like, there's just so much, like, between the FBI and, like, all the people just, like, chilling at Dietrich's house. And, like, there's a lot of death.
Yeah.
And this is one of my favorite scenes so far. Dietrich ends up getting shot in the throat. And, like, the sister Sasha is like leaving to go like protect her child that she's like carrying around. His name is Adam.
Mm-hmm.
And they share a very passionate mouth kiss.
Nope.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Fun fact, the actors came up with that idea for it because like they already thought that their characters were like twisted as shit. So they're just like, yeah, our characters would definitely kiss each other on the mouth.
That's really fucking weird.
Yeah. So, yeah, brother-sister mouth kiss. And then there's another big showdown between Nick and John. They face off.
Oh, boy.
Yep. And they end up, like, both escaping alive again. Nick Cage goes home and tells his wife the whole thing. Of course, like, she's terrified because Nick Cage is, like, in the bedroom and that's the one that killed her son.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to, like, try to convince her, basically, that he's actually John Travolta.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, like, tells her, like, who John Travolta has been this whole time. And you can see, like, how horrified she is.
She's like, I had sex with that guy.
Not yet.
I mean, she doesn't say that, but like,
not yet. But she does
like,
later.
Well, I mean, like that's on her mind right there. She's like, oh shit.
That's where he learned that move from.
God damn it.
So basically, he's like, do a blood type test. I'm whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And
and he's AB.
Castor is whatever the fuck. Yeah. We've had this conversation. Like, I don't know my blood type. You know your blood type.
But I'm not going to tell anyone on this podcast. I don't want anyone trying some weird shit.
And so she like leaves in the middle of the night. She leaves John Travolta after she like stabbed him to get his blood.
Oh yeah, she does a little syringy boy.
Yeah. Goes to like the lab at whatever hospital she works at. And Nick Cage meets her there because he knows she's going to be there. And she tests the blood, and he was right the whole time. Imagine that. And he, like, tells a sweet story to her of, like, the first time they, like, went on a date.
Which in my notes, I have a typical body switch situation where you have to convince the person that you're the person.
Yeah.
Right? Like, or there are 10 clones of me. I'm the real one situation, like that trope. It would be so easy. Like, there are 10,000 things that only like you know about me, or only one of my friends or one of my family members. Like, it's so easy. They make it seem like it's so tough, but it's like, honestly, just like, you know, the fourth or fifth time we hung out, we went to X place and did this thing. Like, come on, like literally no one knows that shit.
Or your method for how you remember your social security number.
Right. Yeah. Like, that's all which, you know, like, just tell someone something weird about you that you don't tell anyone. Boom. You're good.
Is there a weird thing that you know about me?
Probably. I mean, I guarantee you can think of like 10 things off the top of your head right now that would
It's always like a
me.
life or death situation too. It's never like anything that's like,
right.
Like, I like the one of the last Harry Potter movies. You know, I watch the Harry Potter movies a lot. Like, when they have like the 7 Harry Potters, when they're like escaping from number 4 Privet Drive, and Sirius, like when they get back to like,
don't look at me,
the
I'm
burrow.
hideous.
Yeah. Like, not Sirius, who is it? Lupin like slams Harry like up against the wall because they all have like the secret like phrase or whatever, and it's like, what was the creature that was sitting in the corner of my office the first time Harry visited me? And like it's always like a very like life or death like situation.
Yeah.
But the wife in this case, like after he tells the sweet story, responds with, "You know, we've been living together as man and wife for a week, so you know what that means."
That was basically her way of saying she got sexual intercourse with them.
She went to Pound Town.
They had coitus.
The Pound Town.
Nope. Inappropriate.
Pound Town.
Nope.
Boom City.
But inappropriate still?
Penis.
Nope.
Vagina.
So from there, John Travolta shows up at this point. Right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
What happens then?
This was like, it's like later on because she like takes him downstairs and is like treating him and stuff. So yeah, eventually John Travolta shows up and is like you think that John Travolta's gonna catch them together, but she's like treating a different patient or whatever.
Right.
In the meantime, John Travolta's boss has died mysteriously, and so they're getting ready for like the boss's service. Everyone ends up at this church. This church is like full of doves.
Oh my God, so many birds. You kept saying, okay, so the audio description, like if you were providing the audio description, would have been you just saying, oh, birds, it's more birds.
There's
what?
birds.
There's
so
doves. Many birds.
Doves and birds and birds and doves and stuff. So yeah, there are literally doves everywhere. I wrote, there's a big old gun thingy where everyone is pointing at everyone. Oh, I know what that means.
Like the perfect notes, good notes.
Thank you.
It's racist terminology. This is racist terminology, but I've heard it referred to as like a Mexican standoff.
What does that mean, Lyle?
I'm not sure. It's just like I don't know the origins or like where it's rooted.
Mm-hmm. But everyone's pointing guns at everyone.
Yeah.
There's a big old like shootout. Sasha, she ends up going there because she wants to, of course, protect Nick Cage.
Mm-hmm.
She gets shot and she dies.
Well, there you go.
Yep, she dies. The daughter is there because she wasn't supposed to go to the service, but John Travolta got his thugs to come and get her.
Oh yeah, they like
to go get her.
They basically kidnapped the wife and daughter, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And like the daughter says, "Will someone please tell me what planet I'm on?" Because like John Travolta is trying to convince her, like, "Oh no, like Nick Cage is definitely a bad guy," and Nick Cage is trying to convince her, like, "No, like I'm your dad."
Yeah.
So she ends up shooting Nick Cage in the arm because she's a terrible shot, and then there's a speedboat chase. Another action-packed scene where they chase each other on speedboats. They finally like end up on a beach and they crashed and stuff.
More fighting, like a beach. There's a beach fight.
It's just over and over again with all these crazy action scenes.
I mean, this was like honestly like a couple people sat down and made a list of like all the cool action scene shit you could do, and they just put it in one movie. And it's this movie.
Yeah. Nick Cage uses a spear gun on. Every time I see JT, I want to say Justin Timberlake. He uses a spear gun on John Travolta. The police end up there. Nick Cage is like, still in Nick Cage body. And his friend comes up to him and says, "Are you okay, Archer?" So the wife like explained everything to.
She went and told all the police basically,
like
what was going on.
And they bring a doctor in, and they end up swapping them back. And then towards the end, like he comes home. And for some reason, and I said this, like John Travolta walks in, and now he's back to being Sean Archer. Everyone's in their right body.
Mm-hmm.
He comes home. And, like, his wife is just, like, so happy to see him. But it's, like, why weren't they, like, waiting in the hospital? Like, why were they at home? And he just, like, walks in the door.
No, if my husband just had a crazy life or death situation happen and he's in the hospital, I'm just going to go home.
I got to go pay some bills. I got to go balance my checkbook.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he comes home and his daughter says, "Dad, I'm sorry I shot you." And then he brings in Adam, the little boy that was Sasha and Nick Cage's together. And basically they bring him in to replace their dead son.
Woof.
They adopt him, and I wrote crying emoji.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's an appropriate emoji for that situation. You missed one thing that
No.
I caught on
Okay.
that I enjoyed. Earlier on, so like the John Travolta that is actually Nick Cage is in like his house, and he has two weird interactions with the daughter. The first one is the "give me some of those cigarettes" interaction, but the other one is where she is like in the car.
Yeah,
She's like
I totally forgot that.
Yeah, she's like in the car with a boy or something. I don't necessarily know.
The Carl that
Yeah,
sent her that kinky photo.
Yeah, that guy. And so then John Travolta gives her a knife and says, "Stick this in us." If anyone is ever trying to like come onto you in an unwanted fashion, stab them in the leg with this knife and twist it. And he gives her like this butterfly knife that you said's like, oh, the blade's all like curvy and shit,
Mm-hmm.
like very mall ninja thing. And she later on, during the "I'm a hostage" situation, she stabs John Travolta with that knife
In the thigh and
Yeah,
twists it.
and twists it. Yeah, so I just thought that was an interesting little. What'd you think?
I enjoyed it, even though like it wasn't what I thought it was. Like
Yeah.
it's totally different than I thought it was going to be. I enjoyed it. The action scenes are kind of long.
Oh my God.
But I mean, it was entertaining from like beginning to end.
I mean, I thought the whole movie was a little bit long.
Yeah.
I really do want to find a copy or a version or a way to watch this movie with audio description.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see like how they describe
Like
all
some of the
action
action, like the
scenes.
action scenes are just nuts, and like I just don't necessarily know because like so I've seen a couple of action movies that use audio description, and it's tough to describe so much going on, and then there are obviously like loud sounds and people yelling and talking like through the action. So I'd be interested to see what the audio described version of this is like.
I assume that like, because you've seen the new Star Wars films in theater, so I assume
Yes.
there's got to be like the AD for that,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of
Yeah.
action scenes for that.
Yeah, the audio description for the Star Wars movies is really great. I saw Endgame in theaters. That AD was really great. Yeah, just in general, I mean, they do a really good job of getting it in there, like getting out what needs to be described quickly so that the action sounds can do their job of sounding good, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I just don't necessarily see, like, this movie was like a revered 90s action movie, and I didn't think it was that great. I mean, do you want to do, what's your rating?
Oh, our ratings aren't going to be similar this time.
Probably not.
Oh,
What do you got?
I gave it a 7.
Oh, I gave it a 6.
Oh, okay. So like
Yeah.
not terribly. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not garbage by any means.
Yeah.
It's a good action movie.
Mhm.
Do we know who the director was?
John Woo.
Do we know what else he's directed? Because
Um,
I was gonna, like, if I had to guess on this one, I would have guessed Michael Bay.
really?
I mean, as far as like action, explosions, boats blowing up, planes blowing up, guy,
Mhm.
like, yeah, that fits his vibe. I think
Yeah.
there weren't as many like car chases necessarily, but I think it still fit like the Michael Bay vibe.
Mhm.
But
I mean, he's directed a lot of things, not necessarily a lot of things that like we would be familiar with. He is from China, so I believe he did direct a lot of like Chinese films when he was younger. He directed Mission Impossible 2. He directed Wind Talkers, which Nicolas Cage is also in.
okay, so yeah, he did
So
some
yeah.
he did some good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's the IMDb?
Do you want to guess?
Honestly, I would guess like 5.2.
No, it's 7.3.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I just maybe it's just not my style or not my bag, but yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, like it was entertaining to me because like the action scenes and stuff. So like I was
Mhm.
visually engaged, and I
Right.
think that's a really big drawback, unfortunately,
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, the story just didn't keep me super engaged. But in general, I thought it was okay enough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Get drunk, watch it on, random Thursday night. Be fine.
Get drunk on a random Thursday night. There was some blind stuff you wanted to talk about.
Oh, and this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it was kind of what I was just talking about. A lot of the action scenes,
Mm-hmm.
like AD4 action scenes, is typically really tight.
Mm-hmm.
And with how complex a lot of these scenes were, I don't necessarily know that it would have been covered. But I mean, again, this is a movie where AD would have been very useful and very important. There is absolutely no way I would have understood 90% of what was going on if you hadn't been there to tell me what the fuck was happening.
Well, we've been experiencing that with watching Lovecraft Country because it's interesting, but like you get lost super easily because like
Yeah.
it's hard for me, especially when it comes to like fantasy things, to like be able to keep up audio description like while I am watching it.
To like adequately describe what's going on. Yeah.
And like when it comes to audio description, they're generally very like unbiased, and there's a lot of like biased language that I use because like I'm used to it.
Mm-hmm.
So like instead of saying like a white man says this terrible thing and makes this gesture at a black man, I would say like, oh, the stupid white guy.
Yeah,
like,
did some racist bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that's funny that you say like white guy, black guy. That's one thing that I saw some talk about in some AD discussion groups that I'm in. Someone talking about how there are instances where a person's race is important for context. And so like some AD I've noticed will give you context of like the large white guy walks into the room. The room is full of, a couple other white people, a black guy and an Asian guy. Like it isn't necessarily like racist or bad to give context because you sighted people all have that context.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some like movies and shows that just skip out on it, and it does cause you to miss some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
it's good that the ones that like don't go into it. I think about description, especially because we talked about watching Game of Thrones and how in the books they wouldn't be nearly as long if the author didn't go into such deep description. But it also like gives you the context because like you're dealing with several different continents. Technically only 2 different continents, but I won't even get into that. So like the Dothraki, obviously like what is your so like you've heard some of the audio description and stuff for the Dothraki. Like what is your impression of like what the Dothraki look like?
They're just big giant tribe people, right? That's their
But like
vibe.
ethnically?
I think they're white guys, right?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Jason Momoa is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like Polynesian. Okay, yeah.
So like they're from Essos, which is like the eastern continent. What?
It sounded like you said assholes.
Wow. They're from like the eastern continent,
right,
and they're like a roving band, like a nomadic tribe. So they're like darker complected, dark eyes, dark hair.
Yeah, I mean, that is probably just a matter of me not paying attention. Not so much like poor audio description, but just like me like distracted watching it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there are definitely like key things that audio description hits on that you might not necessarily hit on and like that's the important thing about audio description is the people that are doing it aren't necessarily like amateurs, and like with not any like shade or negativity towards you, but like you don't have the training to to be doing it.
Yeah.
Like you're doing it because you are there with me and you like me, you know? Like it's
a little.
It's not
and I want you to like be able to experience it more fully than you would be able to without someone there.
So,
the face thing. So I totally forgot about this. So like they do this thing a bunch in the film and in the Face Off, where they like take their whole hand and just like run it down each other's faces.
Yeah, that's like a thing for
thing.
John Travolta's family. Is they do that to each other.
Yeah.
That's not so. We talked about this before. That's not something that blind people do. At least not any blind people that I know. I've never touched like a random person's face. I've only touched the face of someone that I'm like becoming intimate with.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. No more face touching.
No.
It's not a thing.
You don't want to touch my mom's face?
I don't want to touch anyone's face.
Do you hear that, Mom?
Yeah, don't want to. Sorry. You got anything else?
I thought I had something and I totally forgot it. Oh no, I was telling you earlier today that I came across that like audio description retreat thing that like
yeah.
you pay a amount of money, and pre-COVID it was like an all-inclusive, like you go to a place and like your accommodations and all that kind of stuff, and you like have like 20 hours of training,
Mm-hmm.
and they train like different levels of people for audio description, and
Mm-hmm.
that sounds really interesting to me.
Well, if there's someone listening that wants to fund Ashley attending their virtual version of that, let us know.
Yeah, that'd be
Come
super
be
cool.
our anonymous sponsor.
Yeah. Then I could be an even better site attendant.
Oh.
Check that out.
The other audio description related thing is I've been seeing people post lately like self-made described trailers. We talked about Dune last week. Someone posted, I haven't watched it yet, but someone posted an audio described Dune trailer, which honestly is a reason that I skip out on a lot of movie trailers, is that I haven't really seen any described trailers.
I just thought you hated trailers.
I do. In general, I hate trailers, because I think a lot of times trailers spoil too much.
Mm-hmm.
But now that there's a Dune,
Henry,
little kitty.
did you hear the little meow?
Yeah.
We've got two guests with us in the studio tonight.
Yeah, we've got Henry and Frisco.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, now that I've found a described version of the trailer, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a watch. And I'll be able to actually discuss it with you and tell you what I think.
Yes, please do. I'll link it in the show notes too,
Yeah.
for people too. I don't know if any of our listeners have like gone and like turn on audio description or something, but
Yeah, let us know if you've tried it out.
yeah. I'll put the Dune trailer without audio description and the Dune trailer with audio description, so you can kind of like see the difference in the show notes as well.
Netflix released a documentary at the beginning of this year called Crip Camp. It is a movie that I have not been able to watch because I think it would be it's a little too much, like too much emotionally for me to handle. But it's basically about the fight for the rights of disabled people. And they actually posted on the Netflix official channel an audio described version of that trailer as well. I would recommend that movie for anyone that has any level of interest in disability rights or disability advocacy at all. It was actually produced by Barack and Michelle Obama, which is kind of cool. But I am probably going to watch it soon. It's kind of a tough one.
Yeah. A lot of emotional work for you.
Yeah, but there's a described version of that trailer out there too, and it is an official Netflix described one. I haven't looked into whether or not they post described trailers for their other stuff, but obviously that one is one that they would post the described version of. So, but yeah, described trailers is just a whole new thing for me that is pretty exciting.
Yeah. Oh man, we totally skipped over like awards and stuff. Like this one garnered like a lot of nominations.
Oh yeah.
The Face Off.
What'd you say, like 14 or 15, right?
22 nominations.
Jesus Christ.
And I say 11 wins ? Because IMDb has listed. Hello, Frisco. Can you hear him shaking his head? He's like, Papa, it's time for food.
Yeah, it's about dinner time for him.
Yeah. And Henry's being so cute over here. He's laying on his back on top of this poster that I'm trying to flatten on the floor, and he's just rubbing his whole little body all over it. Anyway, so IMDb has listed 11 wins, but one of the wins was for like Nicolas Cage as favorite actor from Con Air. So I don't know why that's listed under the Face Off stuff, but I agree. He's also my favorite actor from Con Air. So yeah, It was actually nominated for an Academy Award for Best Effects Sound Effects Editing.
That's ridiculous.
Isn't
But
that crazy?
I mean, I guess as far as which award to nominate it for, that's a fine one. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. It was nominated and won a bunch from the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this would fit in the realm of sci-fi, right?
Yeah. It's listed like as a crime drama sci-fi.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
So the director won that award. John Woo won that award. There's also Best Writer for Mike Werb, W-E-R-B.
Yeah.
And Michael Colleary.
Okay. Yeah. Those guys, we know them.
You know. Blockbuster Entertainment Award nominees.
Those have been coming up a lot. Were those like big in the 90s?
I would assume so, yeah.
Yeah.
This was the one where Nicolas Cage won for favorite actor for Con Air. I don't understand.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Get your shit together,
But
IMDb.
not for, well, I guess like John Travolta, I guess it's like sort of related because John Travolta was nominated as the favorite actor. So he lost out to Nicolas Cage, but not for Face Off, for Con Air.
Were these movies released in the same year?
I would assume
That's
so.
so strange. Okay.
He's a busy man. That's why we picked him in the first place.
Okay. So I guess that's kind of weird. You lose to your co-star for a different movie that they did that same year. So that's why it's listed there, I'm guessing.
Yeah. But then they have him listed, Con Air, again for Best International Actor in the Jupiter Award. But no other like nominations for like John Travolta or anything.
I don't know. I feel like IMDb needs to get their shit together.
I think so too. They won Best On-Screen Duo for the MTV Movie and TV Awards.
Okay, that's not super surprising.
They won Best Action Sequence for, guess which action sequence?
The boat race?
The boat race.
Yeah.
Nominated for Best Movie, Best Male Performance for both John Travolta and Nick Cage.
Oh my God.
Best Villain for both John Travolta and Nick Cage.
Yeah, because they're both the villain temporarily.
Right,
like
yeah.
They each get, like, they tag in and tag
I mean,
out.
they do such a good job. Like, I don't know. I think that they did a really good job, even like when they like switched their bodies on things.
Right.
So yeah, that's awards and nominations. So it was a busy time.
Jeez.
You
got a Nick Cage fact for me?
I've got a whole bunch.
Oh,
okay,
Jesus.
so he was a super diva during this movie.
I feel like he probably was, like, during his height, like, for any movie he was in, right?
It was wild. So I wrote down some of them. I don't know that I got all of them.
Okay, what do you got?
So first he refused the role of Castor Troy because he didn't want to be a villain. But then when he learned that he was actually going to be portraying more of the hero in the film, then he took it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was he, I mean, I guess let's assume Con Air comes out the same year. He doesn't necessarily want to, like, corner himself as only playing villains, right?
Well, he's not even really a villain in Con Air.
Again, I haven't seen it, so we'll hopefully be doing that one soon.
Yeah. Then we can revisit that.
Yeah.
So also he didn't want to see the grotesque makeup with his like face being off. So the director hid all of the reflective surfaces.
Whoa.
Yeah. He's also afraid of heights. So there's like a scene that was like the worst day of his life that he had to film.
Wow.
And there's also a scene where like John Woo like made him get all like super hyped up. And so it was on Nicolas Cage's birthday, and so John Woo let Nicolas Cage like get all like hyped up and stuff for the scene, but then surprised him with a birthday cake, and then Nick Cage afterwards asked him not to do that again.
To do what again? To get him a birthday cake? This fucker think he's gonna be filming for a whole year? Like,
yeah, I guess.
Don't do what again?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you know, I guess when you're at the peak of your craft, you can kind of be a little bit demanding.
Yeah. So yeah, he was a super diva in this one.
Well, whatever.
But an impressive part about this movie in general, I learned, is that most of the stunts in the movie were done without the use of any digital effects. So like they were
Jesus.
all like practical effects.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is impressive.
Yeah.
Well, wrecking boats, wrecking planes, all for movies.
Wrecking hearts.
That's what Nick Cage does. Do you have anything else?
That's it for me, homie.
All right. Make sure to hit us up on the old Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Send
us an email.
Yeah, send us an email. We've been getting emails actually, so yeah, hit us up.
Yeah. And as always, please rate, review, especially Apple Podcasts. Oh, I totally forgot.
We're on Amazon
We're on Amazon Podcasts now. Amazon just started, I think today, to actually have podcasts. They're way behind on the curve.
You're dating us though.
No, we recorded this on Tuesday
we
at
recorded this the day it came out.
11:59.
Yeah. We were on Amazon Podcasts on their premiere day. So
yeah,
pretty cool.
I'm very excited. So yeah, if that's where you listen to your podcasts, please feel free to listen to us on there. And just share us with your people. The more people that we can reach, the bigger impact we'll have, especially when it comes to trying to get the word out on audio description. It helps people, like Jordan, who you've all fallen in love with over these last few episodes.
Yeah, honestly, like the end goal here is to get more attention to audio description and the need for audio description. So that's what we're after.
And that's the feedback that we get from a lot of people is that, these are things I had not thought about before.
Yeah.
So
the whole like raising awareness for stuff, this is something that awareness needs to be raised for. So
yeah. So
do what we can.
Tell your boss, tell your mailman or woman.
Tell a random person when you're out on your walk in the neighborhood. Yeah.
Go to your local party store or liquor store.
Oh, they're called party stores in Michigan.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. But yeah. Tell a random person that you encounter on the street to listen to our podcast.
Yep. And like Jordan said, hit us up if you're interested in getting a sticker. You should let us know because we can't really send you a sticker if we don't know where to send it.
Yeah. You got anything else?
I'm good to go, homie.
All right. Love you. Bye.